Hey guys, welcome back to the Indic Observer. As I mentioned in my first video, the US China tariff war is still ongoing. And while the trade conflict hasn't been resolved, tariffs on Chinese goods in the US are set to keep rising. If you see in the recent headline from the White House, the US recently announced that tariffs on Chinese goods have reached as high as 245%, impacting many products exported from China to the United States. Well, this essentially means that the small remaining leeway for Chinese products to be exported to the United States, that has now completely wiped out. Now, voices are rising in the United States, calling for tariffs to be increased to 400% from 245%. Last week I saw a video of the businessman and the entrepreneur, famously known as the Shark Tank star, Kevin O'Reilly. He advocated that Trump administration should raise tariffs on China to 400%. He was arguing that if the US doesn't take action now, China will continue to pull ahead in the global trade, and that 100 or 150% of tariffs won't be enough. So the idea is to push these tariffs as high as possible. You might be thinking about the electronics sector, as President Trump had recently softened tariffs on tech items like smartphones, computers, and other electronic items. But I think that shift is just temporary, right? The US is mainly giving time to its company, like the bigger companies like Apple, Nvidia, and so on, to move any remaining production that they have in China. And once these companies are comfortable enough with their manufacturing being moved out in the US or in India, tariffs on these Chinese goods could go beyond 400%. Now, you may be wondering about China's tariffs on the US, like the reciprocal tariffs of China on the US. China has imposed tariffs of about what 125%, but not much is made of it because it doesn't carry the same weight, right, as US tariffs carry. And why is that? Simple, because the US exports far less to China compared to the other way around, right? The US exports hardly around $140 billion worth of export goods to China, and that's mostly agricultural goods, right? Like soybean or corn, etc. While China sends goods worth around $450 billion to the United States. So while China's tariffs may seem a little higher, like 125%, yes, it's more than 100%, they don't have the same impact. On the other hand, the US tariffs are extremely impactful because they directly hurt the American businesses, right? Companies will now need to spend more to move their production out of China and invest back into the US or any other country. And this might lead to increased product prices and a potential decline in stock markets globally as well. And we are seeing that right now. uh, where do things go from here? The US has set a strange precondition for talks. What's happening is President Trump is waiting for President Xi to personally call him for discussions, and instead of him initiating the phone call. On the Chinese side, however, there's been a clear message from China that China will not bend to the threats made by the US. And China's official media, called as the Global Times, that has repeatedly highlighted that China does not give in to pressure. They're actively broadcasting this message to the US to indicate that China will keep fighting rather than back down. So this situation is getting more intense, right? And there are rumors that the US might turn its focus to Greenland. Remember, President Trump mentioned several times that Greenland should be a part of the US. Well, likely due to its abundance of rare earth mineral resources that the US heavily needs in the military sector and in the electronic sector as well. Now, not just that, right? We all remember the heated discussion between Zelensky and President Trump, where Trump requested Zelensky to sign the rare earth mineral deal, which was worth around $500 billion, as a collateral to the money given to them since 2022. Just a side note, right? Under Biden administration, a total of around $175 billion were given to Ukraine. Uh, they were given, not loaned. So now President Trump focuses on Greenland and Ukraine mineral deal. This is just a proactive approach because now China has imposed restrictions on rare earth mineral exports. So that's one thing. However, the Greenland focus, it may lead to tensions within Europe, particularly with countries like France and Germany, who have already said that they will defend Greenland's sovereignty. So this also becomes a, geopolitical struggle as it's evolving, and something much larger than just tariffs or trade can happen here, right? In the coming months, China's relationship with both the U.S. and Europe will undergo a massive change. While historically, if you see, Europe and U.S. Have always aligned together, right? And it looks like things are changing now. Europe is slowly moving towards China, signing trade deals with them and accepting Chinese electric automobile giant like BYD into their markets. This is a serious development because Europe is no longer on the same side as the US when it comes to dealing with China. So what is the U.S. grand plan, right? The long-term strategy, I think, seems to be isolating China and shifting the global trade alliances. And with India's support, the U.S. can push this plan forward. India has already made it clear that developed nations like those in the West are more reliable trade partners than China. And India is choosing to stand with the US on this front. And in return, the US maybe will offer favorable trade terms to India. And India's position in the future of global trade is becoming very clear as well. The US will likely present countries with a choice, I feel like. Either align with the US as a primary trade partner or continue dealing with China. And it looks like India is ready to support the US in this geopolitical struggle. So, in meanwhile, in India, there has been a shift in policy as well. India is no longer interested in encouraging FDIs, which is foreign direct investments, from China. The government has made it clear that they are tightening their approach and will not alter their policies to accommodate any Chinese investment. And what does this mean for China? Well, for China, this is an additional blow, right? While they may have gained ground in certain areas, India and US are slowly tightening their economic relationship. And I read recent reports which suggested that India and US are on the verge of signing a $500 billion deal, and this deal will significantly impact tariffs, bringing them down and opening up new opportunities for India as well as for United States. And the big winner over here, um, when you analyze this, right, the big winner over here seems to be India because as U.S. tariffs on China continue to rise, India stands to benefit immensely because one of the US banks, the Citigroup Bank, have already stated that they expect India's market to perform exceptionally well in the future. So, so what's next for United States? While things may be tough for US in the short term with inflation rising and potential recession looming, Trump's long-term plan seems to be very bold, right? It will take time, but the future looks more more favorable for India than for China, and time will only tell where things go, right? So the next 4 years in the Trump presidency is just going to be a roller coaster ride. So, all right. So that was today's discussion on the Indic Observer. Well, if you found value in this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you love what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button. This is a conversation, not a monologue. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep observing. See you guys.